What's up, CHFFL? Welcome to week one of the 2022 season. It's finally here. Got a lot of great storylines this week. Obviously, very fun offseason, exciting draft. I am raring to go. Quick headlines. Bills absolutely wrecked the Rams Thursday night. A lot of implications for this week's games. You had some very high scores, some very low scores from the players involved. Waivers have been pretty quiet post-draft, and we have a big showdown in the Smut Hut conference this week. I think you all know who I'm talking about. First, though, a couple of things to talk about, a couple announcements. TeePublic site back up. We have merch. If you have not ordered any yet, I recommend going right ahead and grabbing it. Be sure to check for coupon codes if you have something like honey. Mine, even though they offer the discount in the first 36 hours, using the coupon code for 30% off plus free shipping was better for me. I found one online, so go ahead and check that out. And so far, the reports are that the quality is very good. I just put in a big purchase. I'm a little embarrassed about just how big, but I can't wait for it to get here. Next, two tight ends. Had a very good first show, very successful. Apparently, a lot of people tuned in, listened the whole way through, and just very enjoyed the content. Great job, Grant and Bill. This is, if you are unaware, a podcast exclusively covering the CHFFL that intends to release every Tuesday during the season. A lot of hot takes, a few Russell Jimmies in the first episode, but all in all, a good program. I was the guest on the show, and I'm going to follow it up with a bold prediction. I know a lot of you have probably gotten tired about hearing Mark Andrews for a fifth, so I'm going to give a new one this year. I said that Lamar Jackson at pick 30 was the lowest value pick in the draft, in my opinion, and that Tom Brady at pick 104 was the highest. So here's my prediction for this season. Tom Brady will have a higher points per game under Chartiers Houston Fantasy Football League scoring rules than Lamar Jackson for the 2022 season. Book it, note it, happening. Or I will come on and say that it didn't happen and I will be embarrassed. Now, before you get ahead of yourself, I do expect Jackson to score more points this week against the Jets, but over the course of the season, bet on Tom Brady, 45-year-old man. All right, let's cover the few important moves that have happened post-draft. I think it's good to note that West grabbed Nico Collins. He's really loading up on the high upside younger guys, which I appreciate. That's a similar strategy that I like to use. And then Parker's had a couple here. He swapped Devontae Parker for Hunter Henry, starting Henry in the first week, and he swapped Kirk Cousins for Daniel Jones. Now, Commish cast have sources saying that Parker was very happy with the Kirk Cousins pick, telling people that he thought Cousins would overperform in a high-flying offense. So this comes as a bit of a surprise. We have confirmation that Parker was very high on Kirk Cousins because Matthew Berry is very high on Kirk Cousins. That's all you need to know. But I think Parker's trying to stream matchups. I just hope that Cousins doesn't have a huge week one and then somebody else scoops him up before Parker can get him back. All right, let's get into the predictions. That's what everyone's here for. This week's games, week one. The MAGA gang, is going to really examine those teams ranked 2 through 5 in the preseason polls. Everybody seems to think that I'm going to be not a shoo-in, but have a high chance to make the playoffs. But after that, we got 4 teams that could really compete, and they're all going to go off against each other this week. So let's start with the least interesting game, the Atlanta Pipe Burst, my Atlanta Pipe Burst versus Max's Super MAGA. It's not a joke. Josh Allen carried Allen Robinson on Thursday. I'm going to try not to think about the Allen Robinson game and write it off as the Rams just doing badly, and hopefully it's not indicative of future performances. I am out to a 30-point lead, though, because Josh Allen's floor apparently is 35 points. So happy with him, as always. Max needs something to cover the gap between these two teams talent-wise. Michael Pittman blowing up could be a big step towards that. Also keep an eye on Deebo Samuel playing when Kittle is not expected to play. Could become Trey Lance's target hog very early and run up a lot of attention. Those are Max's 2 potential paths to get in a victory here. But the smart money is to say that I will take it and start the season out strong. Next, let's get over to Mark's Lady G's Beard versus Minnie's Kanye's Kitty Killers 2024. Breaking news from the Thursday game. Cooper Kupp is good. Following yet another 30-plus point performance from Cooper Kupp, Mark would go to the Discord chat to say that we need to weaken keepers. Whether there's a relation between the two, I don't know, but it was funny to me. Minnie can't trust Godwin this week. He's going to be on the bench. Godwin plays at night, so even if he's going to go, he can't be sure. I still love that Chris Godwin pick, and I think by the end of the season, Minnie's very happy with it. Minnie does have Alvin Kamara going against the Atlanta Falcons. Chance for a huge game there from the guy he traded up to get. And Aaron Jones, I think, has a good advantage in that RB2 slot over Mark's Miles Sanders. All leads to a fact that Minnie could pull the upset here, but I'm still predicting Mark holds on. I think this will be a really close game, one of the better ones to watch this week. Finally, for the MAGA gang, Stan's grabber by the Pelosi versus Bills, McConnellsville Mutineers. Knox was really disappointing Thursday. Seeing the Bills be so good and Knox not really be involved had to be disappointing. Was for me. I have him in another league. But Bill, an interesting there is, of course, Denver takes on Seattle week 1. Russell Wilson went to Denver playing his old team. Bill's betting on the Russ Jerry Jeudy stack. If Jeudy has a big game, Russ could have a big game too, and that could propel Bill up over Stan. Stan, on the other hand, has Cortland Sutton, and obviously he drafted Sutton fairly high. He's bought into the idea that Sutton is Russ's guy, going to have a huge season. Derrick Henry, Stan loves him, everyone loves him, against New York Giants, could have a huge game this week, could get a lot of carries, get a lot of action. I like Stan, but I like Bill a little better. I'm looking at this, and it's pretty even, and I'm giving it up to the defensive matchups to be the tiebreaker here. Bill has Baltimore against the Jets. I expect that to be a slaughter. Stan has the Chargers, good defense, but versus Las Vegas, who I think is going to be a good offense. I'm taking Bill here to upset Stan a little bit and really make things confusing for the MAGA gang playoff picture early in the season. Now let's get over to the Smut Hut Conference. Marty is primed to challenge Banis this week. It's going to be interesting because I think Banis' team is fantastic. Does Wes have a bit of an easy start? Is Parker really starting to fall to be below even Marty? It's hard to say no looking at it after the Thursday game. And then the big one, no surprise, Grant versus Swan is going to be what we cover last and what everybody is keeping an eye on this week. First up, Banis' Face Jam 2 versus Marty's Ghost Thrusters. Diggs scores 30 points, while Tyler Bass, Devin Singletary canceled out at about 8 apiece. Boy, it would be nice to have Diggs on your team, wouldn't it, Grant? Michael Thomas, probably going to be good to go for Marty. Gives him a much better chance if Thomas is involved. Jameis Winston already has a rapport with Thomas, could target him a lot. However, Zeke, Marty's second round pick, plays Tampa Bay. That's going to be a tough defensive match for him. Not feeling too confident about it. Banis, biggest story for him is watching this Dameon Pierce debut. How much is he going to be just the main guy for Houston? And is Houston's offense going to be competent enough that that is worth what Banis paid for him? Boy, that lineup is solid. Otherwise, Banis' team, I think he did great in the draft. I love looking at it. I think he is kind of close to being in that top tier with Swan, Grant, and myself. Prediction for this one, I like Banis to win. I like Marty to have a good game. Good enough that we're all saying, maybe Marty's team's better than we thought, but I still like Banis to win. He's just the better team here. Next, Parker's Schindler's Fist versus Wes's Pokeballs and Pussycats. Gabe Davis had a really good first half Thursday, getting the touchdown, 18 points total. Disappeared in the second half, and I think Gabe Davis is going to continue to be boom or bust. I'm not a huge believer, but it worked out well in week 1. Parker seems to be streaming 3 positions. Quarterback, tight end, wide receiver 2. Means, like Gabe Davis, he's going to be very hit or miss week to week. Wes is going Michael Carter over Breece Hall week 1, and I think that's the safe play. He drafted both guys, so you're expecting Hall to take over as the season goes on, but he is a rookie. Carter should still be very involved in the offense. And I'm just looking at Wes's bench. It is like a dynasty taxi squad. All first and second year guys who could hit, or they could be completely worthless and you drop them after a few weeks. I like it, like this strategy for Wes to try and separate himself in the Smut Hut Conference. Parker, of course, hoping for outliers. for all of his performances. The only two bright spots on his team are Devontae Adams and his Colts D playing Houston this week. Should be a favorable matchup. Wes is the easy pick here, and I'm not going to go against it. He should be heavily favored against Parker. Now for the game of the week. No surprise. Of course, everybody when they saw the schedule knew this was going to be it. Grant's team versus Swan's Cook of Steel. Obviously, when Banis selected his conference theme to be names of pornos, there were going to be some names that I might edit a little bit or not say, and I had to draw the line somewhere. Sorry, Grant, but that's staying on the sidelines. This is a PG show. Swan gets 25 points from his defense and kicker on Thursday. Is that Bills defense going to be a hold? One of those defenses that you don't stream, you hold it through the whole year. It obviously looked like it against a good Rams offense. It's going to be tough when they face Kansas City, bye week, Green Bay in a 3-week stretch here. I think that's weeks 6 through 8. But looks like they were worth going a little early based on how good they were Thursday. Grant was able to dodge the Cam Akers dud. He had him on the bench, but still not a good sign for the season going forward. Looks like he's going to start Hollywood Brown over DK Metcalf this week. Probably a good idea, both in new situations. DK's more questionable with the new quarterback, new scheme in Seattle. We'll see how that goes. And I'm going to be watching for Grant. Was Kyle Pitts worth that second? I know he was really high. I know a lot of people are really high on Kyle Pitts, assuming that the one touchdown last year was a fluke in the wrong direction and he'll score more this year. We'll see how he looks week 1. For Swan, a lot of doubters. David Montgomery, people did not like him in the second round, playing San Francisco. Lamar Jackson versus the Jets, very favorable matchup. These two picks both generated some controversy. Is Swan going to be able to show up the haters? That's what I'm watching. I expect Jackson to do it. Montgomery more up in the air. I didn't hate the Montgomery pick as much as other people did, but it was still a little questionable. Prediction. Two great teams. Who do I think has it? I'm taking Swan. I think Swan's going to make a statement. He's riding, that good defense kicker from Thursday. This is not a bold prediction at all. I think there'll be 300 points combined in this game. Both teams will do great, but I'm taking Swan. Keep everybody on their toes by jumping out with a big win to start the season. 2 tight ends. We'll have another episode this week. Link will be in the description along with the link for our merch. Be sure to tune in. Keep supporting them. Doing a great job. And remember, life is too short to keep Thursday players in your flex. We'll see you next week for week 2. Goodbye.